Yeah, I always mention this, but the many-part harmony that we put together on this is like, we're a choir when we sing this. It's really, really wonderful stuff. Yeah, so I heard this, as I'm standing here, I heard this beautiful voice coming from the left side over here, and I thought, oh, who is that? And it was coming out of the speaker, and it was you, Allison. And so it was like a shift of perspective. I had to go, it's not the speaker, it's the speakee. Welcome to Unity of Pasadena, you guys. This is a magnificent place. We absolutely love Sundays. I do. Do you love Sundays? Yo, Sundays are fantastic. We have a great time here. We express spirit in our own unique ways. And I'll tell you how it usually seems to express here at Unity of Pasadena. It expresses as love and compassion and connection and togetherness. It expresses as harmony. And it expresses as goodness. Not only that, but it also expresses as a transcendent level of thought, meaning you guys actually go out to the tables after service, of course, to eat, but to talk about the things that have happened in this very space, to talk about what's said, to talk about the ideas, to give your perspective and hear the perspective of others. I just think that's almost a miracle, it really is, that we have that here at Unity of Pasadena. I think it's really a special thing. So if you're new, welcome. If we haven't seen you in a while, absolutely welcome. If you're new on live stream, welcome you guys. Some of you, by the way, and I've learned this of late, may not be seen because you're on the YouTube connection, you're on the YouTube link. We see you on Facebook, but sometimes we don't see you on YouTube. So if we miss you when I shout out your names and welcome you during our community giving, please know that we tried. But we want you to be here at whatever level is comfortable for you, so thank you. All right, so I have this saying that I'd like you to join me in that kind of helps us to understand what it is we do here at Unity. So just repeat after me. There's only one thing. It may look like more than one thing. It may feel like more than one thing. But it's only one thing. Expressing as you, expressing as me, and everything we see.
Everything we see.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it, to know that we're one? The word unity just kind of brings it all together, doesn't it? So you can expect that what we talk about here has to do with togetherness, has to do with our common attributes and loves, as opposed to separating us from anybody or anything. So it's a great thing. We also have a unity blessing I'd like you to join me in, if you will, please. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you just the way you are. And we have a statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the good omnipotence, and I am one with that presence and power. That's a good time for the gong, please. Jackie, would you gong us into prayer? Let's take a deep breath while the gong vibrates. Release it. Let's take one more, releasing everything that it took to get here. And just know that God is present right here, right now, in this very space. In, around, and through Unity of Pasadena. In, around, and through each and every person here. In, around, and through the ideas that are shared, the feelings that are communicated to one another and to ourselves. Know that God is in all of this, as all of this. And God, being all power, is the power back of it as well. Meaning that everything we see, everything we know, everything we feel, everything that ever has been and ever will be, has a power behind it, has a force, a creative life force behind it that pushes it forward. It's not separate from. It is what it is. I am that I am. And so we know that here at Unity of Pasadena, we summon that. feeling of love. And when we do that, we recognize in ourselves the presence of God. For we often say that the presence of God is love itself. So just feel that for a moment. And it's through this loving feeling and spirit that we are grateful today for all that we have, for all of the people that come together and do the things that need to be done in order for this space to be vibrant and alive. We're so grateful for our musicians. They bring this spirit of love through everything that's played and sung. And we join in with them with a glad heart. We're so thankful for our prayer chaplains who hold us all in the light all of the time. We're thankful for our board of trustees that make sure that everything is done appropriately and the lights are on and the doors are open and the love is spread wide. We're so grateful for the people who volunteer their time, live streaming and PowerPoint and greeting at the door and all of the things that have to do with this kind of sound amplification. We're so grateful for it, and we're grateful for each of you in your seats and the love that you bring. It's with this great Thanksgiving that I know that everything is already perfect, absolutely done in the mind of God. And we just put one foot in front of the other and make it happen, knowing that it is. And I release these words into the law of mind, knowing that they're already done. Please join me by saying, and so it is. Amen. Whew. So do you think God really enjoys long prayers or shorter prayers? What do you think? What do you think, huh? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think you just say what needs to be said, huh? Sometimes it's thanks, thank you. Sometimes it's just help. You know, I mean, those are pretty doggone good prayers too. Those are great prayers. But the point is we're praying. We're connected. We are aligning ourselves with the power greater than ourselves, something really, really super. So we do a 3-minute question, and I'm going to pick one out of the basket here. And I get to talk about it, if I know anything about it. Actually, I could talk about it even if I don't know anything about it. But I'm going to tell you if I don't know anything about it before I start to make something up. Hello, you two. Good to see you. Have a seat. Good morning. So here's the 3-minute question, you guys. Yeah, I may ask for your answer. All right. Ooh, this is asking for my opinion. What is your opinion of Mother Teresa? My opinion of Mother Teresa. They say that she embodied the principle that no human life is dispensable in the eyes of God. Everybody deserves love and dignity. Ooh. They say, I always love that. They say. Let's put it in focus. Since whoever it is asked for my opinion, I say she embodied the principle that no human life is dispensable in the eyes of God. So let's just, come on forward. Come on, sit down, Bill. Come on, we got your seat right up here. So this is what, since it's my opinion, I think we should have done with Mother Teresa, but it's not too late. Certainly not too late. For those that believe that Jesus left in body and consciousness and won't return for a whole long time, this was their perfect opportunity to say he's back, because Mother Teresa was doing some pretty amazing things. She was living her life in the way that the great example had been set forth. And she was doing it in places that were dangerous for her. She was doing it in places that were completely out of the way, but she was also getting a lot of help from people that felt that she was driving forward a new consciousness, or maybe an old consciousness with a new life that could be seen as that Christ consciousness that so many people have been waiting for. I really don't know why they didn't come forward and say, look, this is the second coming of Jesus. This is the way Jesus acted when he was here. What makes you think he's not her? Well, that's an interesting question, isn't it? And maybe the reason why they thought he's not hers because she's a she. And not recognizing that all of that makes absolutely no difference. That all of that isn't who we are. That our sex, the gender that we choose to express is not that. So we come from the heart, we come from the spirit, we come from a place of incredible love and compassion and goodness, and we too can be Mother Teresa. We too can embody we'll call it the Christ consciousness for now, but the Mother Teresa consciousness. So we have some direct evidence that she lived. Direct evidence. And I like that direct evidence, but it doesn't sway me from believing that there was something or somebody that brought that energy and that consciousness before. It doesn't sway me that I don't get to see the face, in real time. But that Mother Teresa experience, good stuff. So that's my opinion. Yeah, I got an opinion on that one at least, so thank you. How'd I do? 2:45. Oh, right. All right. So in 15 seconds, I'll say, Mother Teresa, my mother was nothing like Mother Teresa. And you guys may have had the same experience. And that's okay, because we're all really amazing expressions of the divine. So we have a song, don't we? Come on, I love to hear it.
This is from the Jackie and Allison playlist. It's one of my favorites. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find God, I find myself.
Thank you. I don't have to play with the microphone here that I always forget to speak into. I have to say, she disappeared but I think I'm going to say it anyway. It's such a blessing to come into this sacred space and have these two work together, sharing their gifts. I mean, you're ministers of music, and you contribute so much to the ambience of peace and love here. Isn't it wonderful? All right. You know that it is my habit to always share what my thoughts are when I come up with the topic. And I looked at the word belong, which is the subject for today's daily word, and all kinds of thoughts came to mind. If you ever stop to think about the English language, one word can have so very many meanings or so many nuances of meaning. When you watch little kids playing, when they're very young, don't touch that, it belongs to me. Belong. Sometimes when they get a little older, you hear them say, you want to be my best friend? And they say, yeah. Well, then you belong to me. You can't have any other best friend. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think that's where I want to go. So moving up into some of the social groups, they set all kinds of rules and regulations so it sets you apart from other people because they want to establish a certain kind of hierarchy, and I belong to that group. Okay, that's not it either. And then I thought, belonging to parents or grandparents, that's a different kind of thing. Especially, for me, it was especially grandmother. It was warm. She accepted me the way I was. She didn't expect me to be anything else. And it was just a great place to go. Now, that belonging I like. And then I was at a class yesterday, and those of you who missed it, oh, wow, you'll have to do it again, Reverend Greg. That was something. But anyway, a very strange symbolism came in my mind, and I'm going to share that with you. I thought of a pomegranate. And you think, why would I think about a pomegranate? But just think about it. There's a single entity, and inside there are so many seeds of possibility. So many that the ancient Greeks used to call it the fruit of immortality. So when you think of us that way, belonging to this single entity, and how many seeds of possibility there are, we can go out and even on barren ground produce results. And that's what I have to say about belonging. But well, thank you. Here's what the Daily Word has to say. As spiritual beings, we all belong in the heart of God. A true sense of belonging is one of the best feelings in the world. It's knowing I am at home, fully accepted just as I am and valued for my unique contributions. Today, I celebrate my belonging as a divine being, a child of God. No matter what my station in life, my personal history, or my particular circumstances, I am a valued member of the human family. I extend this understanding to all others. I look beyond appearances and even my own preconceived notions to see my fellow divine beings. I honor their unique gifts just as I want them to honor mine. We belong together. We belong to one another. We all belong in the family of God. I ask not only on behalf of these, but also on behalf of those who will believe in me through their word, that they may all be one. John 17:20, verse 21. Thank you.
Good morning. Whenever I come up, my head's just spinning from everything that's already been said or sung. I love the seeds of possibility. I love that. Yeah. So today, I am going to read a very short quote couple short quotes from Thomas Merton, who was a Trappist monk, a brilliant man. And I always loved the idea of praying the hours. You know, I don't have the discipline to actually do it, but they edited a lot of his sayings into a book of hours, which is like 4 times a day: dawn, you know, lunch, whatever. And he's just brilliant. If you haven't read him, I defy you to understand what he writes, but it's pretty heavy stuff. But I struggled with the word love. God is love, and I always thought of the kind of squishy, hold hands, you know, kind of stuff. And you know, of course, I looked it up, and love means a unifying principle. And I went, oh, okay, I get it now. So let me read this short quote by the person who wrote the foreword to the book. Merton died in 1968 under very weird circumstances. But he says, I sense Thomas Merton is somehow nearby, waiting in each thing he says to encourage you not to doubt all that God might achieve in you, all that God might express through you as you surrender to God in silence. And I just love that. So his quote about love, and I can just really relate to this. Everyday love corners me somewhere and surrounds me with peace without having to look very far or very hard or do anything special. And yesterday I stopped at the corner bakery to get my tea, and this kid runs out of the California Fish Grill, which is just to give me a big hug and how are you? And you know, he works there, and I went, oh my God. And today I went there for my tea, and at the tea dispenser, this man walked up, and I just looked at him. I said, good morning. He goes, good morning. How are you today? I said, well, how are you? He goes, I'm really doing well. You have a wonderful Sunday. And I went, you know, there you go. You know, that's it. And that happens 100 times a day, you know, with people. So I love this. Everyday love corners me somewhere and surrounds me with peace. So I invite you for the next couple of minutes to let love corner you and surround you with peace. So slowly open your eyes and come back to the room. And thank you very much.
This is just one of my favorite songs by Daniel Nod. Just, if you listen to the words, let them reach you like they reached me, hopefully. If this is my last song, if this is my final day, if tomorrow I'll be gone, what do I want to say? If this is my last song, if it's my time to go, when my body's moved on, what'll I have to show? No, not fortune nor fame, they scatter to the wind. The things that make a name just don't matter in the end. But is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and skies a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. If these are my last words for all of the earth to hear, if all that I've ever been is about to disappear, if these are my last words, there's nothing that I need to say. I have only tried to serve. It's never been about talking anyway. So much hurt there is to heal, it's hard to understand. All I can hope to feel is that I am doing what I can. But is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and skies a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. Have I given hope to the hopeless? Has the hungry soul been fed? Has the child stood a little bit taller 'cause of something that I've said? Have I left a little kindness? Have I eased a little pain? If so, then I'm glad I came. For that, I'm so glad I came. If this is my last song, what do I leave behind? What do I pass on if I am out of
Yeah, your song choices, awesome stuff. I listened to you do that Daniel Nahmod song before the service and cried through it. So I was ready for the service part of it, see, because I know that I got to get up after you. And it's better for me if I get that effect beforehand, so I did. Thank you very much for that. One of the most beautiful songs that I think has ever been written. It is truly incredible. In fact, you picked some really super songs for today. That first song is by Jack Fowler, and you know what's funny is that I'm a musician, and and I'm a singer. I don't call myself that because I'm okay at it. But it's not what I do for a living, so I like to do it. It's more of a hobby. And sometimes I sit and I think, I'd like to be able to do that exact same song the way that person does it. And Jack Fowler is one of those that I've imagined myself being that person. Daniel Nahmod, and you're going to do one more, with Jamie Lula today, and I've imagined that being that person singing that song as well. And the funny thing is, I know all three of them. I know them personally, and it's really a wonderful thing. So, yeah, music brings just a special perspective to what it is we're doing here, because you can, since we're talking about God, Spirit, the presence of, the connection with, you can feel God through those melodies, through the words, through the song that's sung and the way that it's presented. You can feel it through the keys that you press. You sometimes don't understand the impact that you have for the rest of us as a performer, but you two do. You two understand the impact, and you take it as your own personal ministry. I think, Marty, you were absolutely right. It's a beautiful thing. So, yeah. Okay, so we're talking about understanding and perspective today. And it is kind of wrapped around this whole idea of returning to wholeness. That's the theme for the month. And understanding and perspective are important aspects of what it is that we do as human beings, and how it is that we grow. How it is we grow into this understanding, this knowing that we are whole. How it is we grow into this understanding that returning to wholeness means that we just need to shift our perspective, not that we need to bring about the band and the parade and all the things that might make you feel a little bit better. I mean, it's just a quick shift of perspective. The title, Understanding and Perspective, probably has to be described a little bit better for you. So get this. There's a difference between perception and perspective. It's the first thing I want to talk about. Perception is what you see. Perception is not, I mean, we can debate what it is we saw. I mean, people do that all the time. Oh, I saw a guy in a red hat. No, it was an orange hat. No, it wasn't a hat at all. Or, I mean, people sort of see things a little bit differently. But that event, we can debate, but one thing happened. One thing happened. The person was either there with a red hat or not. And perspective is not what you see, it's how you see it. So you might say, if you see the guy in the red hat, you might go, oh, it must be Christmas time. I mean, he's wearing a red hat. It's got to be Christmas time. I mean, that's way beyond the idea of the person has a red hat on. I mean, this is like your perspective. You see it as if it's Christmas time. So perspective is personal to you. And that's an important thing to get when dealing with the things that show up in our lives. So I'm going to start this by talking about some personal stuff that happened when I was much younger, when I first started as a lawyer. I started with the district attorney's office as a prosecutor, and the reason I did that was because I wanted to learn how to present a case in front of a jury. That was my goal. And did they fulfill that goal quickly? my first day in the office, they handed me a file I'd never seen before, and they said, "You're picking a jury at 10 o'clock." So I got into the courtroom, and I didn't even know what side of the court to sit on. I didn't know which counsel table I should sit on, so I actually sat on the wrong side. I sat where the defense counsel usually sits, and the bailiff had to come up to me and say, "Mr. Dorst, you're over here." So I was a newbie, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I tried my best. I picked a jury like I thought Perry Mason would have. I handled my witnesses, and when it came time for the jury verdict, the jury came back not guilty. Which was not what I wanted. I was a prosecutor. I wanted a guilty verdict. And so I thought, what did I do wrong? And I spent some time in front of the judge, just with he and I, and he told me what I did wrong. I was thankful for that because I'd made some mistakes. And my only experience with it was watching TV. I actually was in the first trial that I ever saw as an advocate. So the people didn't get their money's worth that day. So the day after that, same thing happens. I get to work, they hand me another file. Boom, here you go. Right into court, start picking a jury, and I pick a jury. And I'm using some of the things the judge told me and some of the tips that I'd learned from other prosecutors, and lo and behold, 3 days later, the jury comes back not guilty again. 2 losses in a row. 2 in a row. And I go back to the supervisor, and I am just apoplectic. I didn't know whether to jump off the 4th story of the building or just surrender my job and say, "I'm sorry, I must not be cut out for this," and resign. I didn't know what to do, so I'm sitting in front of him and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. I can't believe how I let you down, and I let the people down, and my perspective was that my life was over. This is definitely not what I need to do." And the last thing I expected him to do was what he did. He started laughing. He started laughing. And he said, "Greg, you probably couldn't know this, but these were really horrible cases you were given. We did not necessarily expect you to win them. In fact, we don't care whether or not you did. We do not care. What we want you to do is learn." His perspective was that this was a learning experience, not life and death. He and I were on 2 different planets. Here I was wondering whether or not I should even continue this as a profession. Am I just lousy at this? What the heck's going on? And he's going, "No, you did exactly really what I want you to do." Later on in conversation with him, he said, "There are really lousy prosecutors in this office, by the way. And one of the reasons why they're lousy is because they've never lost a case. So they don't know that the things that they are doing are really not productive in the courtroom. They're just not. They just had a strong case, and the jury would have convicted him whether or not it was a monkey up there presenting the evidence. It wouldn't have mattered." And I started to get a different perspective of what was going on. And it was fascinating how that perspective just absolutely changed over time. And one of the areas that it changed was directly to do with perspective of jurors. I don't know if you've ever sat in a jury trial. Anybody here ever sat as a juror? And you've seen something called voir dire, which is a selection of the jury. Yeah, it means to speak to hear. It's French, if you've ever taken any French. And you're allowed to ask questions of the jurors to determine whether or not you want them on the panel, or whether or not they're capable of actually being on this panel because they're free of biases and all that kind of stuff. What we typically, yes, I know, I saw the eyes roll like free of biases. Yeah, right. We know how that works. We hear the judge say, "Anybody here have a bias against the defendant?" And he's sitting there in shackles and tattoos all over his face, And nobody, "Oh no, I don't have a bias at all. No, not a problem at all with this," And you step back and you go, "Oh man, that poor guy." Not that he didn't put himself in that position, but that it doesn't sound to me like he may be getting a fair trial, So in my years as a lawyer, as a trial lawyer, started to pay more attention to the perspectives of the jury panel. Because you can't get the answers that you really deserve about whether or not they can be fair and impartial unless you ask the right questions. And you sort of have to change their perspective. Each one of those jurors, I knew what they were going to say. When I asked them, can you be fair and impartial? They'd say, oh yeah, I can be fair and impartial. Absolutely, I can be fair and impartial. And I thought, I got to somehow ask this question in a different way. So I learned to ask it in a different way. I said, who knows you best in this life? And they'd usually say, oh, my wife or my son or my daughter. They know me best. And I'd say, okay, I want you to answer this question. Would your wife say that you're appropriate for this jury panel? And oh my gosh, the answers I got they blow me away. It was like, oh no. She would tell you that I don't like crime. She would tell you that I'm biased against police officers. She would tell you that I have some preconceived ideas around this whole jury system. And she would say, no, you don't want him. I mean, I was hearing things like that because I asked the question differently. I put a twist on it. There was a different perspective, a different idea. He had to answer for his wife, and he wasn't willing to not give some thought to it. He wasn't. And when he did that, he separated himself from the judgment. See, for him to say that about himself, he would have had to judge himself in a pretty doggone harsh way. But he could separate himself from that, which is a different perspective. Your perspective is different than mine. Your perspective is different than your neighbor's here in this church setting. So I learned something about perspective. I learned that what you see as perspective, as perception, is absolutely not perspective. You have your own way of seeing things. So one of my spiritual heroes is Richard Rohr. Richard Rohr has been very, very helpful in everything that I have done, because I take some of the things that he says, some of the sayings that he has put together very much to heart. He said, it's almost like he said, Greg, culture eats ideology for lunch. Culture eats ideology for lunch. Well, he actually didn't say that to me, but we got a chance to talk about that one day when we had breakfast together. He and I had breakfast together, and we got to talk about what that meant. And he said, it doesn't matter what I get up and say to somebody. It's their upbringing, their friends, their teachers, the neighborhood they grew up in, the religious experiences that they've had in the past, their culture that is driving whether or not they're listening to me or believing a word I say. It is hard to budge them off of culture. You won't be able to do it. The ideology that you speak, whether it's true or not, may never be able to penetrate the person. Wow. I went, oh my gosh, boy, do I have to be aware of that, Especially as I'm standing in front of a group of people, where I'm actually saying something and I want you to believe me about it and actually make some changes, Because that's our reason for being here. Our reason for being here is so that we can take that next step up, so that we can move to, as I often say, to our greater yet to be, to get to that space where we're operating within our higher selves, where we actually feel like we're one with Spirit, where we're really guided by the Christ consciousness. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where we really do things in a different way because we think in a different way. Nice to move to that next level where it's actually about just putting one foot in front of the other because your thoughts have changed, not because you have to remember, oh yeah, Reverend Greg said, move it to a little bit to the right, move it a little bit to the left. Oh, that's so hard. I was taught in a different way. That's the culture eats ideology for lunch issue, It's so hard to get through this culture thing. So here's one area where you and I both know. We know this. And this is one of the healing areas, as we move toward wholeness here. You know this is true. You go to the doctor, and the doctor is going to tell you that you need X or Y drug. if you have a problem that needs to be fixed. They're going to say, well, I'll just prescribe you this, or I'll just prescribe you that. And the last time I went to the doctor said, well, I want to prescribe you this. And I said, whoa, wait. My experience is, doctor, and I'd like you to understand my perspective. My experience is that once you give me one drug, it won't be long until I'm taking 4 of them. You know, because this drug's going to do this to me, and then I'm going to need another one because, man, now this hurts, or that hurts, or I can't stay awake, or I'm not feeling right. You know what I'm talking about? You get another one because you come back and you say, I just don't feel well. Oh, well, let's give you this drug then. And then you do it again, and this one, and this one, and this one. You know, I used to meet people in hospital settings where they would come in with a box load of drugs, a box load of them. Well, how did you get this one? Well, I had this problem, and that one I remember created this problem, and I took that, and I had to take this over here, and these were a combination of drugs. I go, oh my Lord. So I said to the doctor, look, let's suppose that drug you want to prescribe to me hasn't been invented. Isn't there? What would you tell me to do? What would you tell me to do? Oh, interesting idea. Yeah, well, I would tell you to change your diet. Oh, good. Now we're on the right page, man. We're on the right page. I would tell you to learn to handle some of your stress and your anxiety, you know. I would ask you to lose a little bit of weight. You know, we would work on different areas. I would ask you to think a little bit differently and to handle yourself a little bit differently in the real world, you know. And I look at it and I go, man, that's what I wanted. That's what I'm talking about. But you don't do that. Why don't you do that? Well, that's just not what we do. Culture eats ideology for lunch. Culture, the medical culture, says to make this happen, you got to take this drug. Now, we have a lot of doctors nowadays that are kind of changing their ideology, and it's getting holes poked in the culture a little bit. You know what I mean? Have you ever had a doctor talk about wholeness, holistic stuff nowadays? I have too. I've had doctors kind of, you know, walk over into the holistic realm just a little bit. It's pushing them off that you need this drug, you know, stance. And I absolutely love to see it. I mean, it's moving the needle a little bit, you know? It's the way that we have to operate if we're to be responsive to one another in the helping professions, to be responsive and responsible to those that we know and love. We have to be open-minded so that we can perhaps change our perspective a little bit on what's really going on in the world. So I tell you these things because I wanted to tell you this. One of the most amazing areas in my life is the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey has just been phenomenal. And it started with a different perspective for me. It started with a seeking perspective, trying to find God. It started with this whole idea that God's out there somewhere and I just haven't found him yet, or it, or whatever. I mean, I was progressive enough to understand that it didn't have to be a him. You know, it could be something else. But God was out there somewhere, you know, and I really felt like I connected with those people that were headed off to, you know, Tibet to try and find that guru in the cave, you know, and the things that they needed to do in order to learn the practices that gave them everything that they needed to know about the spirit world, everything they needed to know about life itself. You know, I mean, I was sort of in love with that journey, that quest, you know. I was a seeker. And then somebody told me, you know what? Seeking means that you don't have it. Is there any reason you don't have it right now? Why don't you have it now? I mean, because you can always be a seeker. In fact, you will. You'll always be a seeker. You've developed that culture of seeking, you know, rather than stepping into something that actually gives you what you want. And then I started listening because it made sense. It made tremendous sense that all this seeking was just confirming the idea that I didn't have it. And my seeking confirmed it to a greater degree and pushed me farther away from having it. I mean, paradoxical, isn't it? I mean, me chasing it pushes it farther and farther away because what the idea behind it is that I don't have it. And I'm just confirming that. Don't have it, don't have it, don't have it. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's there. Neither high nor low. I mean, this is what Jesus was saying with the kingdom of heaven, you know. I mean, it's neither here nor there, you know. I mean, you're swimming in it. Perspective in the religious realm is incredible. I mean, it is, and the culture that has brought us to this point where people, you know, upon penalty of going to hell, would not even sit in this church and listen to what I have to say today. I mean, there are people that have sat in spaces like this while I'm talking, and I get a little bit of, it's blasphemy, you know. I mean, I can hear it, it's blasphemy. It's like, whoa, man, it's a different perspective, you know. I am not injecting you with something that is going to, you know, make a change in your physical and psychological selves. You know, it's an idea. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. But can't we just talk about things that really make sense? Can't we talk about a relationship with God that doesn't have all these weird hoops to jump through and some of the things that are required for me to have everlasting life, you know, kind of push me out of the loop a little bit. You know, I mean, I'm not even in that group. Oh, but it's not too late. All I have to do is agree that some of the things that I firmly have moved past are true. All I have to do is agree that the world that I see and the way that it unfolds, you know, it took me a lot of time to get to this point where I had some understanding of how life works. Ain't so. All you have to do is agree that ain't so. I mean, I got to give up the idea that as I think, so am I. I got to give up the idea that my thoughts are creative, you know, that I step into life and I attract things to my life that I'm thinking about. Because what I think about expands. I have to give up the idea that I've got this amazing relationship with a thing that I am. I mean, how can I get closer to God? The Bible says. No, it's not the Bible that says this. It's Alfred Lord Tennyson. He says, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. But people think it's in the Bible. And it sure sounds like it should be, doesn't it? But that's where I am, you know. I ain't giving that stuff up. I've never had a better relationship with spirit than I do today. And I had to leave that culture where I went to school and my first church and some of the things that I heard from the people that taught me these things behind. And it was somewhat painful to do that because I had to leave some people behind too. But that's okay. You know, this journey that I'm on, interestingly enough, is a journey that can't be stopped. It just keeps getting better because now the snowball's getting bigger. It is. The snowball's getting bigger and it's rolling and it's getting more powerful and it's getting more vibrant and it's really good. You know, it's hard to get there. The reason why I can say these things to you and there's not a peep in the crowd and you guys didn't get up and walk out is because you're there too. You're there too. When we see ourselves as that which created us, when we see ourselves as living the life of God, made of God's stuff, that God simply loved us so much that he became us, we feel something incredibly special that we know is true. We absolutely know it's true. If you're not there yet, keep coming back. Keep coming back. You know, some of these cultural things that must be released can be released. They can be. They can be, but you have to be open to it. If there's a change that you'd like to make in your life, be open to something new. Be open to a holistic approach to religion, if you will, which means that I'll listen to this, I'll listen to that, I'll be here, I'll be there, I'll do that, I'll try this. How about a little meditation? Richard Rohr says, the contemplative life is how you move up that ladder. Spend some time in meditation. That's how you do it. I was reading some of his writing today, and I'm just going to read this as I end this because I always want to give you a solution. And he says this. He says, only people who have done their inner work can see beyond their own biases to something transcendent, something that crosses the boundaries of culture and individual experience. People with a distorted image of self, world, or God will be largely incapable of experiencing what is really real in the world. They will see things through a narrow keyhole. They'll see instead what they need reality to be. What they're afraid is, or what they're angry about. What they're afraid reality is, or what they're angry about. They'll see everything through their aggression, their fear, or their agenda. In other words, they won't see it at all. In order to get through this, we have to be honest about who it is we are. Most of us do not see things as they are. We see things as we are. Fascinating stuff. That's such fascinating stuff. So, I've said before that when you change your perspective, the world changes. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That's Wayne Dyer. A quarter turn of the screw is all you need in order to see something different. I was talking about carburetors at the time. Your car will run well if you little quarter turn of the screw, but you're the screw, and the quarter turn is what you must do to see something different. And if you're willing to do that, you will. Your perspective about life will change. And all of this will really work. Really will. So when I say namaste, it means I see the God in you. When you say it back, it means I too see the God in you, Greg. Namaste. And so it is. Thank you. I always put it down and then I have to pick it up again. And so what we do at this juncture is we do our community giving. And Norma's going to bring up a basket, and it's going to have some names in it too that I'm going to read. And these are the people that are online. We have an online ministry as well, We have people around the country who are watching us every Sunday and who care about Unity of Pasadena. It's a place for them that is as important as it is for us. They love Sundays too. We got Audrey who says, yes, yes. We got Colleen. Colleen says, happy Sunday, Unity of Pasadena. We got Sue Haynes. We got John Huffman. We got Jill Haslett. We got Karen and Steve. Karen and Steve are online with us. Hey, Karen, Steve. I know they had something to do. They couldn't be here, and I heard that beforehand. But we also have Charles DeTurk. Charles DeTurk from Michigan. And we love it when Charles shows up. He always says hi to everybody. So thank you guys for being here with us at Unity of Pasadena. We love you as much as you love us. So here we go. We have a way of showing our appreciation for the things that we receive here, which is an amazing connection. A connection with not only one another, but with a healing source. And the way we do that is through our community giving. So please say after me, God is the source of my overflowing supply, and I am grateful. And so it is. Will you sing some Jamie Lula? Come on.
But I just want to say that you remind me of that song. Closer than hands and feet, we are dreaming together. All the gifts of heaven and earth. Well, who's that by? Okay, it's a song that I learned here years ago. Okay, another time. Okay. Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Feel like I'm walking on marbles. Can't feel the earth beneath my feet. And is my head in the clouds, my naked legs left dangling? I can feel my heart begin to pound. And everybody said something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. You can sing along. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Long dark night, my soul it wanders. Can't see the light that moves me. If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. And something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, I know I'm not the only one to live inside these blues. Oh Lord, oh Lord, I surrender to you. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. So, I want to invite you to give me something that is calling you a little bit deeper. A word. Spirit. Thank you. Can I get two more? Passion. Spirit. Passion. One more. Love. Spirit, passion, love. Here we go. We're starting with spirit. Here we go. Spirit's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Good. Passion is calling me. Passion's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Let's feel the love that's calling you. Here we go, love. Love is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Can we have faith call us? Faith is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. And we really need some peace right now. Can we have some peace? Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. One more piece. Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before.
Come on forward, Norma. I almost started making up a verse there. Thank you, God. That was awesome. That was a spiritual experience, without a doubt. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the way you did it, too. It's just incredible. Yep. Okay, so these tithes and treasures, we promise to use them with integrity. We promise to use them for the benefit of Unity of Pasadena, the surrounding community, and the rest of the world, driving a consciousness of healing, a consciousness of wholeness, of goodness, of peace, of compassion. The Christ consciousness in action is who we are. Here at Unity of Pasadena, we stand for that. With such thanksgiving, I release these words into the law of mind, knowing they're already done. Please join me by saying, and so it is. Amen. Thank you so much, Norma. Barbara, come on up. She's doing our community today. Thank you, Barbara. And if you don't know already, Barbara is our board president. And you might find her here at all kinds of hours of the day and night. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Okay, well, you usually know exactly what we're going to do at this point. But I want to do something slightly different based on what I just heard today. Okay? Last week when Reverend Greg gave his talk, he mentioned vision as sort of being the big picture. And today, in talking about perceiving, let's put vision up on the screen so we can see the words that we usually say every single week. And not that I'm suggesting that we change our vision or our mission ongoing, but what about for today if we said, perceiving a world where my perception is powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And then Greg talked about, a snowball effect. And last week we mentioned that, the mission was more personal, our action that we were taking as a community. So looking at mission, what if we were saying, changing our perspective in our lives by living and sharing our inner truths of divine wisdom, compassion, and love, using practical spiritual principles. You have the original, but I was moved to do this today. Okay, back to the rules. So, our core values are creating community, living love, teaching truth, and serving spirit. And serving both our spirit and our tummies is our wonderful hospitality every Sunday. And this being the second Sunday, we've got our group of D through J, right? And next week, the third group will be K through R. But I've got to say, I also really appreciate the fact that, we all live busy lives. Sometimes we're fortunate enough to be able to travel, or, we have family come over or, events to go to. So we're not here on our scheduled Sunday, but everybody's flexible and they talk to each other and work it out. So again, thank you all. All right, at this point, I'd like to call up Jackie Dorst because there's a couple. The next couple items are sort of related to each other, and then I'll let her hand it off. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. So, the first thing that we're going to do is the second Sunday of each month, we're getting birthdays back on track. So, Helen is bringing a cake every month on the second, and she has one back there today, and it looks like it's chocolate, isn't it? It looks very yummy. Double chocolate? German chocolate, and that's Bobby's favorite, is German chocolate. It's your favorite? Really? I didn't know that after 33 years. Okay, so we're gonna get these birthdays on track, and so this is the list I have of birthdays of all of us of October, and if your name's not on here, please let me know and stand up when we sing. So we have Dawn, who's not here, Paul, Kara's not here, Barbara, Michelle, Charmaine, and Anita, right? Anybody else? Larry? Oh. Who? Are you pointing at your mom? And your mom. What date is yours? The 11th. Okay, all the October birthdays, stand up. Let's see you so we can sing to you. Oh, we have another one too. Great. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Woohoo! Thank you, Maestro. Okay, and so any other months also, I'm keeping a nice list going of the whole year. And now with that, we'll enjoy our cake, and we'll do this again next month. And so the next thing we're going to talk about is our new committee that we have founded, and it is the Sunshine Committee. And it's just forming beautifully. And there's more and more people that want to be a part of it. And so right now we have Marty, Shirley, Claire, Trish, and myself. And so we're really trying to make a better connection here. We're trying to not just have the prayer chaplains know something, if it's something that's not confidential, of course. And not just the board members and the congregation being left out. We're trying to really just have everybody, puppy pile everybody with whatever's going on with them, whether it's a birthday or you're sick, not feeling well. And our committee will be mailing cards out, making phone calls, and doing visits. And it's just turning into a really fun thing that's happening. And it came from our beautiful Marty. This is our brainstorm. No surprise there, I know. And so let us know things that are not confidential, and we will be puppy piling you with love, okay? All right, is that it, Barbara, okay, and so now I will hand it back over to Reverend Greg.
She's not used to calling me Reverend Greg, you know. I don't require that around the house. 4-H man. So we're going to sing a song after we do our silent unity prayer for protection. Which song are we going to sing today? I Choose Love. Fantastic, fantastic. So before we get into doing our silent unity prayer for protection, standing for that, I want to tell you that if you'd like prayer, our prayer chaplains will be at service, at your service today. Just stay in your seat and a prayer chaplain will come to you. Whose day is it today as lead? Luann. Yes, Luann. So look for Luann, and if there are more of you that stay, there are prayer chaplains here that can step in and do what is that's necessary. We've got Helen and Jackie, Michelle, and I mean, they're all over the place. Anita, and you just look around and there's a prayer. Can't throw a stone without hitting a prayer chaplain. That's one. It's a wonderful thing. Bill too. So yeah, just stay in your seat and they'll come to you. So let's stand, please, so we can do the silent unity prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever I am, God is. I am divine, and all is well, and so it is.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what I'm made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. We are one. I choose love. I choose